So today I have Peter, who also is my dad. I asked him to come for two reasons. One, when it comes to cooking within our family, it's definitely my dad who does the majority of the cooking, specifically barbecuing. And two, his tri-tip, I don't think anyone else can match the quality and the flavor and the taste. So I wanted to bring in kind of a pro in that world. So Dad is going to show us first. We're going to be using his Kimono Joe, and he is going to show us kind of how to clean and prep it before we add our charcoal. So go for it.
Okay, so the first thing is to open it up. And this is, what's great about this is it's a ceramic line, so it can get really hot. And you use what's called lump charcoal, which is actual hardwood that's been charcoalized. So it gives it a much better flavor and taste and much higher searing. So
Yeah.
first thing you do is you take the
Screen.
griddles out and using this fun little device, and then use this little device to stir up the old ashes. In your prior cook, if you've done a good job, before the charcoal is burned down, you can close up the lid, shut everything down, and you'll be able to save your charcoal for your next cook. But what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the ash, and we'll just stir it around a little bit, and that keeps the old lump charcoal there. Then we're going to open this little container, and this is the ash that fell through that we are going to dispose of.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take your catch and you put it back in the slot, and we're going to leave the window open so we get, when we start the charcoal, we want a lot of airflow to get going. So we have our lump charcoal, and we're just going to pour it in.
Are you getting like 2/3 the way up? Or
Yeah.
it's almost like 3/4, huh? Like,
Well, you just want to cover the base, and this is what's great about this. It's real wood, and it's just been charcoalized, so it's going to give you the flavor of oak or whatever hardwood they've used. So you just need to pour it in there, get a good base, and then we're going to light it. So to start the lump charcoal, you want to use a fire starter. And you can, what's great about this, there's no lighter fluid, it's all natural. So
they look like little macaroons.
yeah, they're just smushed wood with some resin in them. So you just put a couple in here, and maybe start with 3. And then you light them. Yeah. So these are all natural. You won't get any residue of lighter fluid, and they will get the charcoals going. It probably takes about at least 20 minutes to get your charcoal where you want it. You don't want the flame going. You want it basically just glowing with.
And there's not going to be a flame, so it's going to heat your charcoal really hot. The flame will be there, but then with the point when we cook on it, the charcoals will be really red without a huge flame.
That's right. You
correct?
don't
Okay.
you don't want a flame, but we can really control the flame by the airflow. That's what's the great thing about
The
the
vents.
Kamado
Okay.
grill, or the Green Egg does the same
And by
thing.
the way, this is not a commercial for Kamado. We're not sponsored by them. We just love to barbecue using this
There we go.
method.
Okay, so the other thing you need to invest in is a good set of gloves, because the lump charcoal burns really hot, and you will definitely burn your hands if you do not have a good set of gloves. So I'm just going to arrange the charcoal so it gets takes off and gets.
I also like that those don't have the lighter fluid in it, because I think you can really taste food that's been cooked using that like kind of more synthetic flavor.
Yeah, you won't get any there is no lighter fluid, so you won't get any lighter fluid taste. So this will take about maybe 20 minutes to get to the point where you want to cook on.
Are you gonna put these back on, or are you gonna wait?
I'll put the grates back on, but I'm going to put my gloves on first to do it.
Safety first.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to put the grates on kind of low, and that will burn off any residue from a prior cook. Okay, so that's all good. We just need to leave this and let it catch, and that'll take about.
And you keep this open? You
We
don't
keep it
shut
open,
Okay.
yeah,
Let
to
the
let
air
it go.
in.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so while that is heating up, we are gonna head over and start making our chimichurri. That's gonna go on top of our tri-tip. And I'm gonna ask you some questions.
All right.
For our chimichurri, we're using parsley, we have our chili, we'll use garlic, and then we have a really good olive oil, red wine vinegar, and then oregano. And as I start to chop, I want to ask you, where did you learn to cook? And what was your top, like, did you have like a few meals that you loved to make when you were newly married?
Well, I grew up in the San Ynez Valley,
Yep.
and so Santa Maria barbecue was a big deal. And we would go to the high school, and their shops would make these half barrel barbecues.
Oh, right. You used to have one of those.
And well, I used to
growing
have
up.
one of
Yep.
those. And so we used to do tri-tip using real oak, because we lived on an area where we had a lot of oak trees and access to a lot of oak. And so that's where I learned is doing that. And but I do enjoy cooking, and one of my favorite meals to make is breakfast.
Oh, right.
And we gather the whole family together, and I make waffles from scratch.
Which we'll have you back on to show us how do you make the waffles, because not only from scratch, but like he grinds his own wheat and then makes the waffles. So, but tell me also about your mom and how she cooked, and did your dad ever cook?
Both my mom and dad worked, but my mom did the cooking, and not so much barbecuing, more in the oven, baking, and so on like that. My dad was not a big casserole fan, so it was pretty basic cooking.
But what about, didn't you say she like would gather wild, like, what did she gather for you guys? She was like the original organic hippie.
Yeah, so I think it was Adele Davis that she followed, who was the organic, big into organic. And when we first moved to the San Ynez Valley, we lived on an acre and a third, and my mother would go out and gather wild growing, what she thought were vegetables and so on growing on the property. At one point, one said turned out to be weeds, and I refused to eat them, but she quickly learned. But we grew up raising sheep and had a horse and ducks and so on.
Okay, so your wife, my mother, loves to host where she might lack in the cooking skills. She makes up exponentially in the hospitality. I think you are slightly more introverted when people come over. And so tell me, like, when guests are here and you're barbecuing, is that like a nice kind of escape for you? Or do you enjoy like being with the people but having the reason to like kind of come back over here?
You know, we actually have a home in Newport Beach, and I had a barbecue, had a bunch of men over the other night, and the barbecue is set up in our social area, and it actually is a great great social gathering to have the barbecue near where the fire pit is and where everyone gathers, and men sit around talking. Men love to watch a barbecue and be a part of a barbecue. So I don't think it's so much of an escape as it's a center for men to
Like
to gather
social?
around socially, yeah.
Right. And so for me, growing up with you as my dad and seeing you always barbecue, for me, it feels slightly intimidating. Like this is more of the guys' world. And that's why I wanted you to be my first person here as we're entering spring and summer, because I know we can barbecue as well, and we just need to learn a little bit. So I'm gonna have you smash this garlic and start chopping that really fine, and I will do the pepper because we don't want that on your hands. Okay, so he's gonna chop our garlic super fine. I'm gonna start chopping the chili really fine. I guess my other question too is, what are some do's and don'ts about barbecuing that you've learned over the years?
Well, I just really enjoy a Kamado grill because
You've had several different
I've had several
barbecues, yeah.
grills. If you have the real oak grill, the barrel with a roll-up grill, that works well for controlling the flames and so on. If you use a gas grill, it's harder to control flames with fatty meat. So particularly with a tri-tip or other type of meat, with a Kamado, you can certainly get it much hotter. You can sear it much better, and you get the oak flavor, so it just comes out much better. And to me, it's easier to cook on this than it is a gas grill.
Okay, so for the guy who, or woman, who is doing tri-tip and burning it all the time, why do you think that is? Like, what are they doing wrong?
Well, yeah, probably they're putting it on too soon. As you can see, there's flames going up. And if you put it on with the flames, it's a little harder. You do need to pay attention. You need to turn it every 5 minutes.
Right, is it something you can walk away from or something you're staying?
No, you've got to stay and you've got to watch it carefully and you've got to turn it. You want to get a good sear on each side and then keep turning it so you don't burn it or overcook it.
Okay.
There's a way to tell when it's done just by feel, or you can use a thermometer.
Okay, so that's my next question. Are you feel or are you in heart with your cooking, or are you measurements and temperature and timing?
So I'm probably
Oh yeah, heart or feel?
I'm probably more feel on my cooking, but when it comes to steaks and tri-tip, I do use a thermometer, particularly chicken. I want to get chicken at least 165 degrees. It's hard to tell when chicken's done. Meat is a little easier to tell when it's done, but I'll still use a thermometer.
Yeah, you like your tools.
I like my tools, I like my gadgets, and it's obviously more accurate to tell when you got your thermometer telling you what's going on.
All right, I'm gonna grab your garlic.
Okay.
You can smash those two as well. Okay. And I'm gonna start chopping your garlic in with our chili. Yeah,
and then tri-tip seems a little more difficult to cook than say hamburgers, but in reality it's pretty easy once you get it down. And you have to cut it a certain way, but if you make tri-tip sandwiches, it's a great alternative, and maybe even easier to do for a big group of people.
Tri-tip?
Tri-tip, yeah, because you can slice it up and make tri-tip sandwiches, and the men love that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so how are you gauging or balancing temperature within inside?
Okay, so we'll see after we put the meat in, but first off, we have a temperature gauge on it, and so we know the temperature inside. We also know the flames are down, so it's just the coals are glowing. But I cook at around 350 to 400, and if you stay in that range, it works out well. If it flames up, if you have a real fatty meat and it flames up, you just shut down the little windows, the airflow, and that'll kill the flames.
Oh, okay.
And that'll also control the temperature. But on a Kamado grill, you have to be careful because once it gets up to temperature, very hard to bring it back down. So you want to watch it and don't let it, just watch the airflow and don't let it have too much air. It'll get too hot and burn the food.
Okay. All right, we're gonna finish up this chimichurri. So we have our parsley nicely chopped, and I'm gonna put it in our bowl. I'm probably just gonna take half of that because I did a lot. And then we're gonna add our chili and garlic and slide that in there. And then if you wanna pour over our red wine vinegar and then add our oregano.
The whole thing?
Yep, add the whole thing in there. And then we'll actually use that as our spoon. And then we'll add our olive oil. to this. And the longer you let this sit, the more the flavors are gonna meld together. So up to an hour to 2. It's also important that you don't do this in a food processor, because I've found the times I have done it thinking, oh, this will be quicker. It makes it really mushy, and I think it really compromises the full flavor that you get from doing it by hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let this sit, and then we'll get back to our tri-tip. Okay, so our heat is now ready for our tri-tip to go on the barbecue. We're gonna season it first. But for those that do not live in California, because we're very aware that tri-tip is a very California cut, it is the bottom triangular part of the sirloin. So if you want to make this and you need to ask your butcher, tell them that. Okay.
And it looks like a triangle. So
yeah.
that's what it's so what we want to do is, and this is part of experimenting around, trying to find your right seasoning that you like, but this is a garlic, pepper, salt blend. And you want to season it pretty liberally, because a lot of it's going to come off in the cook. As you do this, and you throw it upside down, and both sides, and again, do it pretty liberally, because most of them come off. So, all right, now remember, always use your gloves because it gets really hot. And I have singed my hands several times. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to bring the grill up.
Do you start it off low because you want the grill to be really hot, and then it also cleans it?
Yeah, and it cleans it off. It burns off all the excess stuff. And but we don't want it too low when we cook, otherwise it'll burn.
Right.
But the charcoal just is excellent right now.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what we want to do is we want to bring the griddle up to temperature 350, 400, put the tri-tip on, which we've done. We want to open up the vents full because we want a lot of heat coming up and hitting that tri-tip and searing it and caramelizing each side. It needs the oxygen to really burn. But once we get it seared on both sides, we're going to shut it down so it doesn't get too hot.
Okay, so it kind of chokes out the flame.
Yeah, so let me see how we're doing here. Okay, what I'm going to do is, because this is a large Kamado, and it doesn't throw as much heat up with the amount of charcoal we have in it. So what I'm going to do is I am putting half the griddle down lower, closer to the heat, and that's going to caramelize it a little faster.
Okay.
And I'm going to close this down, and then once it gets caramelized, then we can put it up for the slower cook.
Great.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And I think I'm going to bring it up now, put it on the higher level. I would say I'll give it like 5 to 8 minutes, and then I'll flip it.
Okay.
And what we're looking for when it's done is we're going to take our tongs and we're going to give it a little wiggle, a little squeeze and wiggle. And you can see there's a lot of give, right? And that means that it's not cooked all the way through. It's cooked on the surface, but it's pretty raw in between. So what we're going to look for is this will start firming up, and we'll be able to tell that it's done by how firm it is. We see that the temperature is getting up to about 400. We're going to shut it down a little bit because we don't want it to climb too high. And then I'm gonna shut down the top and leave a little bit of air gap there.
Okay.
And I'm going to shut down, close down. All right, I think it's been about 5 minutes.
Has it? That's so fast.
It's a fast 5 minutes.
It's a fast 5 minutes.
See how we're doing here?
Good.
Okay, yeah, it's getting really nice. But again, I can
Can
press
I
it
feel
down.
it with
Yeah,
the,
sure.
oh wait, I need your gloves.
Put on a glove.
Oh yeah, so it's starting to feel firmer.
Starting to firm up, but you can tell it still feels like a piece of raw meat.
Yeah,
in the
like
center.
on the edges it feels.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to shut this down for another 5 minutes or so and let it go. Okay, so I know that the feel technique is a little hard. It takes a little bit to get used to. So
Yeah.
we're going to use a temperature probe, and we're going to
You're
stick
kind
it
of going in like the fattest portion of the tri-tip.
Yeah, and here we're 116. So we're about 10 degrees off of where we want to be.
Okay.
And also, this is a good time to experiment and kind of get a feel for, you can still kind of squishy.
Yeah.
You see that? So maybe another 5 minutes or so.
Show us how it's going.
Okay, we're still holding at about 350, which is good. We're going to lift it up after another 5 minutes, and we're going to give it a little test, the feel test, and it's, I don't think it's quite ready yet, but let me give it a shot with the temperature gauge so we know for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into the thickest part here. Okay, that is 138.
Oh wow, so that's very then.
But I probably in this it's good. I think we're good. Yeah, so you can feel it still has a little rareness to it, which is good. I think it's 138 in a hotter portion. I think in this portion it's probably in the 125 range. So I think we're done. So we're gonna take it out and put it on our platter.
So at this point, you really want your tri-tip to rest for what, like a half hour?
Yeah, I would say at least 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
Yeah,
okay.
not too long. Yeah,
So we're gonna take this inside, get out of the sunshine for a bit, and then plate up with our chimichurri and our salad that we made. Okay, we're back inside. We've let our tri-tip rest, and now we're gonna learn how to properly cut it.
Okay, so the tri-tip, you can see it has very distinct grain. You want to always cut perpendicular to the grain. It'll make it a little more tender.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
So here's the test here. See how we did. Okay. And that looks pretty good.
That looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot of people will be very happy. Some will be more rare and some will be more well done. But that actually turned out really nicely.
So our favorite part of the tri-tip that us siblings in our 30s and 40s will still fight over is the very tip piece. We think it's the absolute best piece of the tri-tip. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here and telling us your little tips and tricks on how to make tri-tip. I hope you enjoyed this, and we are gonna eat now.